All right. We're on True Strength podcast. We are on episode 10 or 11 or 12. I'm starting to lose count. We're
That's a good
knocking
thing.
these things.
I feel like it's 12.
Yeah, it's been awesome, guys. So,
Fuck yeah.
we've got Tanner Shuck, Coach Taylor Rank, Scott Solomon, and myself, Coach John, and we're talking all things health and fitness. Look, so we're just gonna kick it off. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna talk about mental health and physical training. And Taylor, you mentioned this last week. Is it all you need? As long as you're moving and lifting, are you going to be solid and sound?
I don't know if it's to say that it's all you need for the most part, but I definitely think it's a key component. And I mean, I'm not going to try to go off on too many tangents or whatever, but we have all this concern. We talk about nutrition, right? And first and foremost, I understand why people don't track their nutrition, but for a lot of different reasons, especially as a strength coach who coaches people online, the more we know, the more we know. And the impact of what we put in our bodies that we eat cannot be overstated on the overall effect. All right. So I kind of have this thing where people like to act like the brain sits in this ivory tower and it's not going to be affected by the lack of physical fitness or what we put into our bodies. And when that's just simply not the case. All right. And I think there's one thing that's proven over time to help mental health, and that's physical training. Right. And I really think that it's kind of an underlying issue in society because we're seeing this whole change in mental health. We're having especially in, men with suicide and, kids in general with needing safe spaces and all that stuff. I think the vast majority of these issues could be, mitigated or limited by people understanding the effects of physical training on their mental health and the benefits to that. And to understand that the brain is not separate from the body, right? And the best way to take care of your brain in many facets is to take care of your physical health. And there's no real way to optimize your mental health if you're not going to look to optimize your physical health as well.
Very well said, man.
Yeah,
Very eloquently, diplomatically said, Taylor.
But let me ask you a counter question to that. When you say, is that like just, hey, you need to perform well, and kind of doesn't matter how you do that? Or, I'd probably make the argument if you are someone who spends a lot of time hiking out in the woods in nature, it's probably going to be a lot healthier for you than being inside an air-conditioned gym all the time, just, perfecting yourself in a mirror. Agree?
I don't know if you could say that it would be better because, how much stress is actually, going for a hike, putting on your body. And I understand that there's benefits to being in nature and, exploring and doing all that kind of stuff. But when it comes down to determining the factors that contribute the most to longevity and health in general, I think muscle mass is going to be more beneficial than, long distance trekking through nature, right? Not to say that you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't get out in nature. I think that's pivotal for being a human and exploring the world in your own body. But to do that and to even optimize my ability to walk and not get injured and to, have endurance, I need to have muscle mass. And there's only one way I can get muscle mass. That's the fucking resistance train.
Yeah. I would just say I would much rather be a strong, lean, jacked guy that works out in a gym with no windows rather than being a fat, weak, unhealthy guy that spends every day, going for a hike. I feel like the mental health of the guy who's strong, lean, jacked that never goes outside would still be better than the fat, unhealthy guy that spends all day outside. That would be my stance. That would be my take on that.
Okay. And kind of back to like this mental health thing though. All right. For me, it's about the purpose. Okay. Lifting weights gives you purpose. It's gives you that purpose every single week, gives you the goals. You're completing goals. That's very good for mental health. All right. So that's another reason why working out and lifting weights, continuing to get better, that's why it's so good for your mental health as well, in my opinion.
It's a fact.
I guess my question is, does it have to be lifting weights specifically?
No.
Can it be other stuff? Can it be
but lifting weights is the best way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. If anyone else has anything.
Bro, that's what lifting weights is the best way. Okay. It's just the best.
It's not the only way, but it's the best.
But yeah, it's like, right, exactly. This is a question that's kind of hard not to speak in absolutes. So I'm going to try not to speak in absolutes, but if you're a man and you're depressed, okay, and you have anxiety, you're stressed, you hate your life, you're thinking about whatever, suicide, okay, I feel like 99% of that could be eliminated for 99% of men, okay, simply by doing intense, vigorous strength training 2 to 4 days a week, okay. The only caveat to that would be if you're a man and you've had some, just catastrophic, devastating occurrence occur in your life, like you lost a family member or you lost a sibling or you lost a child, or maybe you were whatever molested as a kid. Take those extreme outlier cases out of there. Okay. That's not the majority of people that are depressed. The majority of the people of men that are depressed are overweight. They're weak. They lack confidence. They lack self-esteem. They don't strength train. They're under muscled. They're over fat. Okay. And it's because they're not moving their bodies. They're not lifting weights. They're not doing hard things every day, or at least on a frequent basis. Do you guys think if you're a man and you haven't had any catastrophic thing happen in your life, but if you're depressed, if you simply started taking better care of yourself, you lifted weights, you got strong, you built muscle, do you think you would be happier? Do you think you would be less depressed, less anxious, less stressed? Can we all agree on that?
Yeah.
I think
Absolutely.
we can, man. Yeah, I think we can.
Okay, so
Makes sense to me.
John, I know you love to play devil's advocate. Okay, but if you take away those catastrophic occurrences, which represents a very small percentage of men that are depressed, if you take those guys out, all of these fat, weak, depressed men, they probably don't need anti-anxiety drugs or antidepressants. They need to quit being fucking pussies. All right. And they need to go out there and strength train and lift weights and get stronger. And I guarantee the endorphins, the dopamine, the serotonin, the regular, neurotransmitters that you feed your brain 2 to 4 days a week, that would probably eliminate 90 to 95% of all your stress, anxiety, and depression. And that's kind of speaking in absolute. All right. And maybe I'm wrong, but I have a good feeling I'm not. What do you
I'd say you're more right than wrong, for the most part, for sure.
And I'll touch on one more thing that I think's probably, more and more getting lost with men in particular is I don't think men hang out enough together. And, when I say that, like, it doesn't, I'll give you an example, Tanner. Remember, we did your bachelor party a while ago.
Yes.
And we worked out, then we went and drank some beers and hung out on a boat. That was a good day. And, I think we both said it. We're like, hell yeah, you get a bunch of guys, work out, hang out on the boat, and it's just like a real good day. That's another thing where, like, guys generally aren't going to just sit and have a conversation face to face about how they're feeling.
No,
you got to do something. You got to go do something, and actually, like, you'll talk, about things as you're doing something. And I think it's an issue probably in today's modern, where, like, people are on their phones and they're kind of alone, and they're, it's getting set up because there's some big tech companies that really benefit from that happening, right? It's wild. It's absolutely fucking wild.
I can only speak for myself. I think Scott will agree with me, but I was actually thinking a lot. So in the past, from 2025 to 2026, and then from 2026 to today's current date, I was thinking about my overall level of happiness. And I have noticed that I am significantly happier from January 1st up to today's date, August 25th, 2026, than I was from January 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2025. And I know a big reason for that is because I have been spending time around other like-minded men that I fucking work out with. Okay. And I wasn't doing that for a long time in Dubai just because I wasn't able to do it, like logistically. But I've just noticed when I spend more time around other guys doing hard shit, Like I've been fucking happier. And I feel like every man does need that. And like having some really good training partners lately for me since March of this year, it's been like not life changing, but like fucking awesome. And like I've been training harder this year than I was this time last year because I have other guys there pushing me. It's been fucking great. And that's one thing I miss about training back in our CrossFit metalized days, John. Like, we could fucking work out together around each other, and you're around like other dudes that are fucking strong, jacked, that are pushing you, and we're all making each other better. I think every man needs that.
And
That's
which is
my
probably
take.
the reason I think we all kind of like look back on our, college football days, you know,
Yeah.
that's what I remember is just, with the dudes, like, yeah.
Dude,
Well-
and like what's up? Oh, go ahead, Scott.
Well, I was just going to say, Tanner, for me, it's been life changing. I love it, man. I love it.
Yeah.
I've been working out on my own the previous year, and dude, it's life changing being around other guys. So I really appreciate it. It's amazing.
Dude, it fucking is, man. And like what sucks is that like once you finish playing college sports, you're not a part of a team. You don't have some strength coach motherfucking you, telling you to get your shit together and doing it. I loved that personally. Maybe not in the moment when I'm, whatever, but I look back on some of the best times of my life. And then just recently, we've got a small group of guys that want to get after it, and then we can be around each other on a fairly daily basis. And it's, even now that we're 38, 39, like I still need that. I still want that. I think every man still would benefit from that. And so that's why I think the importance of training partners. Fuck, there could be another podcast subject, John, the importance of training partners.
Absolutely.
Anyways,
And
that's why,
I mean,
John,
go on.
you should fucking come to Austin, whatever, in September, and, fucking do it.
Well,
I think
and
there's
I was going to
something
say
to be said for starting off your day doing something really hard, because the harder things, if you do really hard things that are demanding, strenuous, and tough, it makes other shit seem not so bad, right? Because I remember in college waking up for agility drills at like 5:30, twice a week. You're going to do your conditioning drills. You're starting your day off with the hardest fucking thing you're going to do all day. And when that's kind of out of the way, you understand that, pretty much the real tough shit's done, and it's kind of all downhill from here for the most part. So it just gives you a really good perspective for the rest of your day.
And even like today, as an example, Taylor, you're starting your day off at 5:30 with us, and then after this, it's all downhill. So
Right?
This is definitely This is the highlight of your day, Taylor. I know that.
I wake up bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, dude, ready to fucking rock.
Yeah.
that was the other thing I was going to say, though. I was lucky because Tanner, you remember, and Taylor, you remember, I got to play ice hockey here in Dubai with and joining team. It was a ton of fun. It was awesome. It was absolutely
Dude,
awesome.
because you have that male camaraderie. Like, and dude, if you've never had that, I don't know, man. I've like never, I could be wrong, but I haven't been around many men that I look up to, admire, or respect that probably didn't play some kind of sport, or, had some kind of competitive element, or background. I don't know. I feel like that's, super important, that all men need that. You need to be around other guys. Like, it's like that adage, iron sharpens iron. So true.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't know. I know we kind of deviated about mental health, John. I don't know if we want to carry back on that or.
Well, look, I mean, I was actually I was going to talk about the next thing. I just want you to know, Tanner, I'm actually going to change the way I work out, and I've decided I'm going to do a push, pull, leg split. Tell me why I shouldn't.
All right. And I know what you're doing. You're just trying to fucking wind me up. Okay. I have really strong feelings and opinions on that. Okay. Before I state my opinions, Taylor, why don't you state your opinion on, all right, actually, let's start off with this. Taylor, in your view, what is like an optimal training split for the vast majority of men? Okay, that are natural lifters. So there's the caveats.
So what's going to be optimal is if the people who enjoy training and have the time to train, I think a 4-day lower upper split is going to be the most advantageous, right? And this is kind of stepping into the theme of what I don't think is ideal, is because I look at training and the demands and the stressors on the body. For me to do like a push-pull leg split, like if I really want to squat some heavy ass weight and pull some heavy ass weight and optimize my strength gains with a barbell, doing a squat and a deadlift, then there's no real way that I can do that in kind of the same session or really all that close to each other. All right. So I'm going to space out my training to optimize my output within the training. So I'm going to start like my Monday with a back squat because yes, it's very fatiguing and demanding, but as far as like central nervous system, you can recover from back squats pretty goddamn quickly. All right. So I do a heavy back squat and then I would pair it with something like a press, bench press overhead or something. So basically I'm going to, like I said, lower upper. Yeah, that's kind of my thing. The easy statement.
All right. John, do you want me to answer the question? Or actually, Scott, you back?
I'm back.
All right. I'm going to just ask you the same question. Scott, in your opinion, what is the most optimal training split for men that are natural lifters? Okay. Yeah. What do you think?
Upper,
What split
lower,
would it be?
upper, lower, rest, upper, lower. Well, I guess technically lower, upper, right? Because you want to squat
Yeah.
on Mondays, rest, and then lower upper. Because
Yep.
with natural lifters, sorry, I'm out of breath.
You're
I
good.
just got up the stairs, man. Dude, stairs? Oh, man. It's like,
All
all right.
good.
Anyway, you want enough rest days as a natural lifter. You want enough rest days. If you're doing a PPL and you're working out 6 days a week, you're trying to get 2 PPLs in a week, you don't have enough time to recover. It's bullshit. Is that what
There's
y'all
a
are
great,
talking about? I just came back.
more or less. Okay.
Nah.
And now, John, for the record, okay. John, are you still there? Is John frozen or is it just me?
I'm here. I just
Okay. For some reason, your video is frozen on my side. Okay. John, are you really doing a push pull leg split or you're just winding me up, right?
I'm winding you up, Tan.
Fucking A.
Because
Okay.
I don't do a push without a pull.
There you
Yeah.
go. Because you're an intelligent guy. This is why I do not like a push-pull leg split. And the reason I don't like it is because it's ubiquitous all over social media. Okay. And what I hate about fitness on social media is it's fucking so heavily influenced just by bullshit bodybuilding. Okay. Because that's what people look at or watch. But if push-pull leg split was really the most optimal training split and it was the best way to train, why do zero D1 college football programs train that way? Why do zero like elite athletes, track athletes, sprinters, hockey players, basketball players? Why do zero real athletes do a push pull leg split? Okay. Why? It's like, can anyone really think? Because in my opinion, that's not how the body works. Okay. Nowhere outside of the gym would you go use your body and only do your pushing muscles. Okay. Where you're only training 5 different variations of some kind of press, or you're only hitting your pecs, your anterior delts and your triceps. All right. Nowhere outside of the gym are you only going to be using your pulling muscles where you're only doing lats and biceps. And like, why would you want to train yourself that way? Because it's definitely not a very, it's not conducive to becoming as strong as you possibly can. Like, your body is a system. You should train it as a system. And I think the biggest mistake that so many people make is they compartmentalize their training and they're brainwashed and diluted by guys like whatever, Jeff Nippard or Mike Israetel or Athlean X or all these fucking people on YouTube or Instagram that are just literally misinforming people. Or it could be the bodybuilder guys that are just juiced up on steroids and they're lecturing people on how to train, when that's so hypocritical, because when you're on steroids, it doesn't matter how you train, doesn't matter your training split. You're going to fucking build muscle and burn fat no matter what. You can fucking do that. You can build muscle looking at weights when you're taking steroids. And that's just really, it pisses me off. Okay. That's why a push pull leg split doesn't work. Go ahead, Scott.
Well, so I did a PPL, push pull legs, for a while. You know, this was maybe 5 to 7 years ago. I loved it. I loved it because it was fucking easy. It was easy. You know, I didn't get much stronger. It was very enjoyable to go in the gym, and it was bench day. I'm going to just do some pushing and then, you know, just spread everything out. It was enjoyable, but I was not getting stronger. All right. It's hard work to go in there, do a heavy ass overhead press and then, weighted pull-ups. That shit's hard. It's going to get you better. Can it get you stronger?
Devil's
All right,
advocate. Well, and I mean, look, if someone's untrained or they're just starting to train and they decide to do a push-pull leg split, they are going to get better, right? It's just probably not the ideal thing. Hello, Tinica. So fair. So Tanner,
And-
to ease yourself, I am not starting a push-pull leg split.
Yeah, I know you're just winding me up because like you guys are just trying to do that. But like, again, and then there was another really popular split where you're doing a push pull legs and then upper lower day, which is another just fucking bullshit thing. It's just another trend that all these content creators are brainwashing and deluding people to use. So they buy their cheap ass $49 PDF. Okay. And I don't know. Maybe I'm very biased, but I think it's the truth, man. Like if you simply do a heavy lower body squat focused workout to start off your week, all right, that's going to give you the most value. Then you can do an upper body pushing pull day. Then if you have 2 hard days of training, take a rest day. You need to recover from 2 stressful days. Then do the next best thing you could possibly do to build the most strength and muscle. That's going to be some kind of heavy pull from the floor. Okay. Then you'll finish off your training week, okay, with another pushing and pulling day. And that's why an upper lower split 4-day works so well for most people because it allows you to train the compound exercises, train them hard and heavy. Also, it gives you enough time to recover and adapt from that training because of the way it's laid out. And you're still training your body as a system because you are prioritizing the exercises that allow you to lift the heaviest amounts of loads over the largest ranges of motion that incorporate the most muscle. Okay. AKA squat, overhead press, deadlift, bench press, pull-ups, and dips. Am I wrong? I don't know. I don't want to say I'm wrong. Like, what do you guys think? Cause I want you guys to challenge me. Maybe because I might be so biased that I have confirmation bias. You know what I'm saying?
That's great. It's great. I mean, I love hearing you talk because you're just, you're so sure about it. And because it's the truth.
I'm fucking passionate about it. I'm fucking passionate about it for sure.
No, because it's the truth. It's the truth. I mean, it's the truth. If you think about it, like, and here's what I tell people too. It's like, during my professional days, during even my college days, I was trying to get as strong as possible. Nothing else in my whole life mattered. Didn't have kids, didn't care about anything else. I was trying to get strong. I was trying to put on muscle. And this 4-day upper lower rest, upper lower. That's exactly how I trained. All right. And that's just like, it just makes so much sense to me too. And that's how I've continued to train. I've tried other things, hasn't worked out, like PPL, for example. It's hard to sustain that, there's
and
a lot of reasons not to do it.
It's fucking easy. Dude, it would be so easy to go into the gym and just do 4 or 6 exercises of fucking chest presses and do some triceps. Okay. It's fucking easy to go sit your ass down in a leg press and then sit your ass down on a fucking leg extension and some, whatever leg curls. What's not easy is doing heavy ass pause front squats or 3 sets of 5 back squats at 405. That's what I did yesterday. That shit was not fucking easy. I was seeing stars, but I know it made me better. Okay. And it kind of goes back to that whole thing. It's like, man, you need to do hard shit every day. And that's what gives you the most value. And that's why I think of a true 4-day lower upper split is going to be the most ideal training split for natural lifters if they're serious about getting strong and jacked. What else? Is there anything else on that?
I will add to that. And I will say, you say that leg press is easy, but this is a tangent. Some of the worst experiences and toughest, 45-second stints of my life have actually occurred on a leg press. And it was in college because we would do it after we squatted, like kind of midway through the session. We would always do almost sets of 15. We're clearly doing like 800 to 900 pounds. and our coach would put his fist on our chest. We would have to touch it with our knee. And he'd be standing there, dude. And if it got too easy, right, he'd fucking pull that goddamn thing down onto you, right? And so I've seen several people collapse on their way to the water fountain after like their third set of 15 leg press. So that's all I want to say is that a hip sled or a leg press done properly is not fucking easy.
That's not easy, but then I would do a counter argument. I think John probably thinking the same thing. What about doing a set of 20 unbroken back squats at 315? What would you rather do? Would you rather do 3 sets of 15 to 20 leg presses or a set of 20 unbroken back squats at 315? What's actually going to build the most muscle and the most strength?
I think it depends on the weight.
I think, you know, these are two different things. And I think, you know, I understand with what Taylor just said, because, you know, you squat and then the leg press, you're just pushing a thing and you know, there's no technique to it really. You don't have to balance, you know, it's just go, if that makes sense.
Midline is not going to be your limiter. Back squat, my midline is going to be the limiter, right? On a leg press, midline's not going to play a role whatsoever. So it's just going to be straight up hip power output.
Yeah. And look, I mean, what I'll say is like, we do, as a coaching staff, we do sometimes program, leg press for clients because of certain things like mobility challenges, injuries, and that sort of thing, because, you know, it does work for certain things. So,
yeah, absolutely. And like everything has a time and place. And that's why you got to be careful not to speak in absolutes. You do. Okay. But I think we can all agree, like, does anyone give a shit how much you can fucking leg press? If I see a guy in the gym leg pressing 8 plates each side, are you guys impressed? I'm personally not. But if I see a guy doing a heavy ass deep back squat with 4 or 5 plates, I know that motherfucker is strong and that guy trains. He takes it seriously.
Yeah.
All right. So that's how you just that's the way I think about it. You know, free weights are the king. The barbell, you know, is the truth. Yeah. So I don't know. I think another thing we could talk about really quickly, John, just training splits, because not all our clients are on a 4-day lower upper. The other really good training split, okay, would be a 3-day full body split. Okay. Absolutely. Built around the compounds. Okay. Because 4 days it's not conducive for everybody, timing, schedule wise. But a 3-day full body split designed well, I think is also incredible. But you're not doing pushing and pulling and legs. You could even do a 3-day push-pull leg split. So day 1 could be push, day 2 could be pull, day 3 could be legs. I still think that's kind of cookie cutter and generic. Go ahead, Scott.
Well, Tanner, do you want to tell them what we're currently doing this week?
Yeah. All right.
A 3-day total body.
Yeah. That's this week. Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
But
we
I'm
are
just saying,
this current week. Yeah.
You know, it works. I tell people it's like a 3-day total body. It'll get you like 95% of the way of a 4-day. It really will.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
Because the compounds, that's what matters, man. If you're hitting those compounds heavy.
Yeah. Putting in that intensity for sure.
And just what I've noticed, like the stronger you get, like we're all advanced lifters. The reason a 4-day lower upper split is probably going to be a little bit superior than a 3-day full body is because when you're on a 4-day lower upper, you really are just focusing on one big compound in that workout. And if you're really strong, dude, if I do whatever 5 sets of 5 back squats at 405, dude, I don't fucking have it in me to go try to do a heavy bench press or overhead press or pull-ups after that. I just don't. I'm just like I'm zapped. So that's why I would need to do the pull-ups or the pressing and the pulling the following day. Okay. However, if you're like somewhere between a novice and intermediate or intermediate, almost advanced, a 3-day full body is great. But the stronger you get, you're going to realize the heavier weights you're lifting, the less you actually need and the less you actually can do per training session. All right. Anyways. I don't know you guys. Yeah. Sorry. That was
all right. Well, look, we're 30 minutes in, so we do have a ton of client questions to get to. So we're going to start hammering through those. First one comes from Mr. Lazenby, and David asks, "How does hydration, including electrolytes, play a role in building muscle?"
Taylor.
So, yeah,
I
Taylor.
would say electrolytes are essential to the contraction and elongation of muscles, like the contraction and relaxation. So if I don't have electrolytes, my muscles are going to cease to do so in a fantastic fashion. All right, but I mean, the two things that you can do to improve your overall health are free. It's hydration and sleep. All right, and now there's kind of debate as to what's the optimal level of hydration based upon your body weight and all that. But essentially, you need to drink water because it's critical to pretty much all bodily function. All right. It's like the number one thing you need over food to live and air. Right. So, I mean, it's crucial. Right. And it's very advantageous to monitor it. And if you're not doing it, you're just missing out on free benefit, dude.
Seriously. All right. Isn't our body like 75% water?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yeah.
Okay. So, if you're not properly hydrated, that's like one of the lowest hanging fruits that you need to, take advantage of.
Definitely.
And
It's like the second lowest hanging. It's like oxygen, water, then
Yep,
how long can you go without drinking water? What?
Like 2 days or something like that, isn't it?
It's like 3 or 4 days max. I mean, I think, but it's not very long. Okay.
No.
It's the essence of life. Okay.
And-
but I don't want to, the topic was electrolytes. Is that right, John?
Well, it just how does hydration, including electrolytes, play a role? So, I think, David, you just have to kind of think like if you aren't hydrated, you aren't going to be able to perform. And if you can't perform, you're not going to build muscle. I think it's just kind of that simple. So
that's it. That goes kind of down the chain or like the step by step. Yeah, exactly right, John.
Yeah.
So it is critical.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Our next question comes from Steve Clarkson, and he says, "Is it okay to be under my carb macros for the day if I hit the other two and still meet my calorie goal? I'm trying to lose 100 pounds. I'm severely overweight at almost 300 pounds." Look, I think, Steve, I'll just say, like, if you're hitting your carb or you're hitting your total calorie goal, and your carbs are a little lower, so that would mean your fat's probably a bit higher. As long as you're still in that calorie deficit, and you said you're hitting your other two, which means you're hitting your protein, that's important. So look, if your carbs and your fats are off, I don't think it's the end of the world. As long as you are still under that calorie goal and you're hitting your protein, I think you're going to be okay. Just try and get those carbs in because they will help you perform. So that's my answer. Scott.
Yeah, I just think about like the big rocks thing, like just take care of the protein. All right. The big rock is the protein. Put that in the jar first. That's the most important. The rest, honestly, if you have 100 pounds to lose, hit that protein goal and then just like try to get as under on the calories as you can. Just quite honestly, you have a lot of fat to lose. So just get the protein and don't worry about the rest. Stay way under the calories.
All right.
I'm just going to echo that exact same thing.
And then Steve had a second question. He said, what are some things to battle muscle soreness? And I just looked it up, and Steve, he's 3 workouts in. It sounds like Steve hasn't worked out and done much in a long time. So Taylor, what would you say, he can barely walk after each workout. What's your advice for the muscle soreness?
Well, first and foremost, this isn't really going to help you with the sensation of soreness, but you have to get enough protein in your body to rebuild the muscles. Okay. Because for me, the feeling of soreness is actually muscle reparation. Okay. That's you've torn apart your muscle tissue and it's growing back together. And that's what's actually painful is the fact that you're building and repairing muscle tissue. And beyond that, the best way to get rid of muscle soreness is to fucking work out. Okay. And that's in the immediate and that's in the long term, right? Because your body's going to adapt to stimulus, right? So the more you expose it to that stimulus, the faster it's going to adapt to that. Okay. And that's obviously within reason, right? But for the most part, the best way to get rid of soreness is to work out. Make sure you're getting protein. When you're sore, you've got to work through it. Okay. Because as you work through it, your body's going to adapt and you are going to become less sore because you're getting stronger. And not only that, your body's going to become acclimated to that. You're going to get used to the feeling of soreness and it's going to kind of become your new normal. All right. So that's how I would approach it.
Man, you're so fucking nice, Taylor.
Scott.
Well, I was going to say, so my wife, she was asking me actually this morning, I think, or yesterday. She's really sore. She worked out, her legs really sore. And she's like, I'm not sure I should work out, again this week, whatever. I'm like, you absolutely need to. Okay. And so as an example, I told her in football, in the NFL, when we played a game, all right, you feel like you just got into a car wreck the next day. And guess what? Guess what the team makes us do? They make us go in there the very next day after a game and work out. Lift weights, run around, work out. Okay? So that's the best thing you can do. Keep moving. All right? If you lay around in bed, in fact, I had some teams where the coaches were like, "Oh, fuck it, do what y'all want, take a couple of days off after the game." And I felt like dog shit the rest of the whole week if I laid around and did not move that next day.
Yep. And I'll just want to answer Steve's second question really quickly. All right. To battle extreme muscle soreness, severe soreness, Steve, the reason you're so sore is because you're incredibly untrained, because you've neglected your health for a long time. Thankfully, now you're doing something good for yourself and you're paying your dues. You're going to be really sore when you start an exercise program, especially one like this where you're doing proper strength training. You're just going to deal with it, bro. That's the truth. You have to fucking deal with it. Don't be mentally weak. You need to allow yourself to sleep, eat plenty of protein, and just understand muscle soreness just comes with the territory. All right. Especially your legs. And even if you're sore for 2 or 3 days, I promise you that soreness will dissipate. It will go away and it will get better as your organism, your body starts to adapt, okay, to the training, to the stress. It's completely normal, but there's nothing really you can do about it besides just kind of time. You're gonna have to wait. You're gonna be sore for 2, 3 days. Eat protein, get enough sleep, stay hydrated. All right. And just understand this is part of the process.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I try and tell this anyone that we ever have hasn't trained in a long time or has never trained. I always say it, the first 3 weeks are going to suck. You are going to be sore. I mean, I think we've all probably, when you had an injury and say you haven't squatted, say you had to take 2 months off squatting and then you're able to squat for that first session, how sore are you the next day? Like, it's jarring where you're like, you sit on the toilet and you're like, whoa, so look, I feel you, Steve. And like Tanner said, I'm happy you are doing this and it gets better, man. Give it, get through these 3-4 weeks and it gets better. So
yeah, absolutely.
All right. Next one is from our guy, Matt Carver. When you put in the work and eat right consistently, but your goals seem so far away, what do you tell yourself? I'm going to start, and I always say this, fitness is a lifetime endeavor. It does not happen overnight. It's like, look, it's a year's thing. You want to, if you're at a certain level, you say, I want to back squat 405 pounds, 4 plates. Look, you might have to understand that might be 3 years away. That's how long it might take. So it's just like, it's a long time. Consistency is the thing that will work.
And go ahead, Tanner.
No, Taylor.
I'll be very quick. If I was Matt, what I would ask myself, how old am I? Okay. Am I an adult or am I a little baby? Okay. Because little babies, they want instant gratification. Okay. They want results now. Okay. Like a little kid. And what you have to understand, Matt, is you've been putting in work and eating right consistently for, dude, maybe a few months, probably less than 6 months. I can't even remember when Matt started with us, to be honest. All right. If you ask Taylor, John, Scott, or myself how long we've been training, it's over 20 years. Okay. And so just understand, man, like it's going to take time. All right. And you just have to understand this is a process. You need to be patient. Patience is a virtue, especially when it comes to getting strong and building muscle. And man, you just haven't put in enough time and effort. You just got to keep doing it. These workouts, week to week, month to month, year to year, they do stack up. Okay. But there's no way getting around it. You got to put the time in. That's just understand, man. It's going to fucking take time.
I think this will kind of resonate for you guys without going too long, but Nick Saban, right? As a college football player and as football players, you'll understand who Nick Saban is, but he talks about it being really process oriented, right? And the main reason we define goals is to basically lay out the blueprint of the process that we need to go through to attain those goals. And we need to focus on that process in and of itself. Okay. Enjoy the process, focus on the process, do what you got to do each and every day and let the goals be the reward. But if we're constantly looking at the goals, and not to say you shouldn't check in on them, but the process is what's going to get you to where you want to be. So you've got to find a way to enjoy, to focus and grind through that process and find that be the reward to get to your goals, man.
Yeah, absolutely it is.
Exactly what I was going to say. And if you learn to love the process, then you can't help but become the person who, who's going to get there,
Yeah, you want to be. But Matt, if you're going to tell yourself something, just say, hey, man, you haven't put enough time in yet. All right. Like, a millionaire doesn't become a millionaire overnight. All right. It's going to take a lot of time, effort, years, these kind of things. Building a strong, lean, jacked, muscular body naturally is going to take years. So just understand you're on the right path. But dude, you just got to keep going down the path. You just haven't been walking down that path long enough yet.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Our next question comes from our guy, Zach Bishop. And he says, I'm just 5 weeks into training and tracking a strict diet in a caloric deficit. My goal is to lose weight and build muscle. The scale has not moved during this time, only fluctuating by the same 2 or 3 pounds, which surprises me. I know I'm getting stronger and making progress, but I assumed fat loss would outpace muscle gain. Is it possible I'm building muscle as quickly as I'm losing fat? So, look, here's the first thing, Zach Bishop. Did I miss something where? Let's see. Well, you're 2 weeks in, so not that far yet, at least with us. No, you're 1 week done, and we do have progress pictures, so you're looking better. So that's the first thing I'm just looking at, and it's possible because you're not a super big guy who has tons and tons to lose. But
muscle weighs more than fat, bro.
Yeah,
and the scale can be a liar, right?
So it could be two things. It could be maybe you're not in enough of a deficit, or it might take more time. I know with us, you've been with us for a week, so it might just be more time.
Dude, patience for sure. Okay, and that's why the scale, I think, for a lot of people, the scale is a shitty indicator of progress. I think I've said this before, but really all a body weight scale does is it measures your gravitational pull towards the earth. Okay. Like fat people love looking at it like that. So they can feel better about themselves. But the truth is, man, the scale still is kind of a shitty indicator of progress. Dude, body composition should be the main goal. And dude, if you're just 5 weeks into it, 5 weeks, even 1 week with TrueStrength, bro, that's jack shit. Okay. Like be more patient. I guarantee you're going to be adding weight and reps. You're going to be doing harder and harder workouts week to week. Give yourself at least 3 solid months of training, taking a progress picture every week, and then come back and ask this question. All right. Cause I promise you'll have the answer. So don't worry about it too much, man. You're becoming maybe a little bit like Matt Carter, maybe a little bit impatient. Taylor?
And just the scale could be a liar, man, because like you say, body composition can fluctuate greatly, but your body weight may not change all that much, right? Because fat is extraordinarily larger, meaning if you look at a pound of fat, how much larger that is compared to a pound of muscle, right? So even though your scale number is not changing so much, you could still be having great, benefit, right? So if you're going to get a scale or something, maybe get like a little cheap InBody or something if you're really, really concerned about it. So you can have some kind of metric to measure that you're not just, staying the same. But if you're getting stronger, you're clearly putting on more muscle mass. But just because your scale number is not changing doesn't mean you're not having success, man. So don't get too caught up in the number on the scale.
Yeah. Track your weekly progress pictures, and are you lifting heavier weights week to week? Those are the best indicators, most objective, measurable indicators of progress.
Yeah. And what I'll say is Zach's 205, so he's not like a massive guy who's got to lose a ton of weight either. So he's a built dude.
Yeah. And also, this is something we glossed over. Make sure you're tracking your calories accurately. I feel like a lot of people sit there, track their calories, but they might be tracking their calories inaccurately and they might be eating more than they think they're eating. So don't forget about that as well.
And I'm sure Zach, I know on our check-in or our consult call, Zach, we said track fucking everything you put in your body,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Anthony Ramirez asked the question, are cooldowns important? Scott, are cooldowns important?
No, I mean, no, I don't cool down. No, don't worry about cooldowns. Get your shit done and get out of there. All right. Is that the whole question? Cooldowns?
That's the whole question. Look, I
No.
mean, yeah, because I agree with Scott where, like, look, you do, let's say it is a heavy set of squats. Your legs are so fucked that, like, a cooldown's not going to help you. It's just, maybe a cooldown's fine to just kind of move some blood around. I don't think they're terrible, but you don't have to do them.
Maybe like
Tanner,
walk home.
Tanner, do you cool down?
Actually, you know what, Tanner? He gets a ride home from me after squats. He doesn't even walk home.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't need a cool down.
Dude, fuck no. I don't do cooldowns. Like, what I do if I really train hard, if I'll do like a hard ass conditioning workout, my cooldown is lying my ass on the floor, staring at the ceiling and just like breathing and just focusing on letting my heart rate come down. Okay. I'm not fucking going through some whatever cooldown routine or stretching or any of that bullshit. It's like, that doesn't move the needle. You don't really need to do that. Your body's naturally just going to cool down and do its own thing. Okay. So cooldowns grossly overrated. Total waste of time, in my opinion.
Yeah.
All right. The next question comes from our guy, Mark Deacon. He says, I just recently had my blood work done, and after looking at my results, the doctor said I wasn't consuming enough carbohydrates. I have always done my workouts fasted, but I'd like to hear from you guys. What carbs have you found are the best to fuel your workouts? And how soon before your workouts do you consume them? And how many grams do you normally take? Who wants to hit that one? Tanner.
I'll go first. All right. Mark, I wouldn't worry too much about what your doctor says of the blood work. All right. Personally, you're not consuming enough carbohydrates. Like, I think a person that has to worry about not consuming enough carbohydrates, that person better be very lean and muscular. Okay. That's really, when you're lean and muscular, then your carbohydrate consumption starts to become a lot more important because of muscle glycogen and performance. All right, dude, but if you still have 5, 10, 15, 20 pounds of body fat, dude, carbs, there's a saying you have to earn your carbs. And if you don't have visible abs, like carbs are really not absolutely essential. In fact, carbohydrates are the only macronutrient that you can survive totally fine without. Like if you don't eat protein, you're going to die. If you don't eat fats, you're going to die. But if you quit eating carbs, all that's going to happen is your body's going to start burning all of its body fat for energy instead. And you're going to lean out like quite quickly. Now, so I don't want you to be overly concerned about the carbohydrate, but I'm still going to answer your question. The best carbs for people that are trying to improve body composition and lose weight are going to be the slower digesting, the ones that break down slower. So I think sweet potatoes are fantastic. White potatoes are amazing. Those would be my top carbs. Like whenever I'm trying to get really lean, but I'll still have carbs, I'm eating a shitload of sweet potatoes. Other good ones, you're going to have white rice, fruits, sourdough bread. Which other ones am I missing, guys? Like you guys fill in.
Honey and maple syrup will be the other ones that I use.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And fruit's pretty good too. It's just easy to digest and
I like.
But I would just be interested, like when somebody says that, like you're not eating enough carbohydrates. I'll be like, why? Like why?
Yeah. What like specific blood work got that doctor to come to that conclusion?
That's it.
I don't understand that.
Me too. Dude, you know what? Like, because we've worked with quite a few doctors and maybe it's just my opinion, but I feel like doctors are some of the most misinformed, brainwashed, deluded people that I've ever worked with, and they lack they have a fundamental lack of common sense when it comes to training and nutrition. They almost think they're smarter than they are. And I'm not speaking for all doctors. I'm just saying it's been my experience because I've worked with at least 5 different doctors that are no longer clients. They quit the program way too early and they were just absolute total pussies and they were just fat and weak and they were questioning like everything I would say because like they've read way too many studies, you know, and they're just grossly overthinking everything. Like they gave themselves paralysis by analysis. And I know that's a, you know,
That's a pretty
that's
sweeping statement for doctors.
yeah, exactly.
Tim.
I'm not trying to make the sweeping
my
statement.
brother
but
and my parents are doctors. Man, you know, it just depends. Like doctor, going through medical school and all that shit's very hard, man. It's very hard. And so like the bandwidth to take on other stuff, it's just like sometimes not there. So I do get that part.
I get
yeah,
it.
man.
And
Like Mark,
and I
don't
think
worry about
there's
Mark. Eat some carbs, man. Eat some carbs. You're lifting a ton of weight.
strong,
All right?
strong fucking dude.
Just eat some carbs. I'm not your doctor, and I'm not giving you medical advice, but shit, eat some carbs.
I think the other thing, you know, and I think probably in particular in the States, doctors are always thinking about, they say the wrong, or, you know, they say something unsafe or they're going to get sued and they know that, you know, so I think there is the fact that a lot of them like, hey, this is the safe way, don't work out, you know, or don't, you know, it's another thing as well.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm not saying doctors aren't, they're obviously incredibly intelligent. It's just been my experience. they overthink things. Okay. They way overthink things and they give themselves paralysis by analysis a lot of times. And most doctors, medical doctors, they receive little to zero any kind of education or training in nutrition. All right. Like it's all based on whatever their specialty is. And like,
You know, Stuart, my twin, though, he was a nutrition major, but yeah, that is true, though. It's
But-
very
but
rare for them to have.
he's an exception.
that
He's an
background.
exception, Scott.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you shouldn't make blanket statements like I did. So I should caveat that, but it's been my experience. A lot of doctors that I've worked with in the past, man, they lacked common sense, in my opinion. Go ahead, Taylor.
Just a quick question because I want to know if you guys have had the same experience. Almost every single time I go to the doctor and I get blood work, the doctor looks at my LDL and they try to give me statins, right? So if I were to listen to my doctors, clearly they're not my doctors anymore, I would be taking fucking statins, right? Probably one of the most physically detrimental drugs you can put in your body to lower my LDL cholesterol. Like, have you guys had a doctor try to that's like over 300 pounds, try to tell you that you need to take statins to lower your cholesterol? Like, and it's crazy because if you were to, and I've mitigated this argument because if you look at the other markers, almost every single one shows that I'm in the least risky population to have a cardiovascular event. So you're caught up on this one number that I would argue is almost beneficial if you're metabolically healthy. But that's kind of why I distrust doctors, because they're so married to these standards that have put us in such a shitty place with a like low fat, high carb diet and shit. Like, yeah, I have mistrust and I think about it, but man, you just kind of really got to be aware of it, man. And just be careful who you trust and who you listen to, man.
Yeah. Thank you, Taylor. And that's very well said. So don't be afraid to question your doctor. Just because they're a doctor, they have their MD, that doesn't mean they're absolutely right all the time. Like, man, think for yourself, question things. So well said, Taylor.
All right. Abdulaziz, he says, what are your thoughts on squats while your back is at a 45-degree angle? So I'm trying to kind of visualize it. Yeah, I guess he's saying probably a lower bar over. Tough to kind of answer, Abdulaziz, but yeah, get high bar and, you know, keep that chest up and
Let's get that. Let's get him a loom and look at his squats. Abdulaziz, awesome guy in Qatar. And I've actually personally trained him a few times. But yeah, more than likely the bar might be too low on your back. Sometimes it's just the case that you're adding weight a little bit too soon. And so when the weight's heavy, even if you're doing a high bar, if the weight's too heavy, it'll push your torso forward and you get in that compromised position. And we had to do this with another client recently, Reese Round. He was trying to add weight a little bit too quickly doing low bar. We had to bring him back to high bar and drop the weight down, make sure he was getting more knee flexion and more quads. So that's another consideration for Abdulaziz. But I personally don't like squats when you're your chest is too far forward. You're leaning over, and it turns more into like a good morning than an actual squat. All right, those are the thoughts. But let's get Abdulaziz Aloon
All right.
pretty soon.
Okay. Nick C.
Sorry, that's a hard last name.
Twanea.
I don't even want to pronounce it. Twanier. This guy, he's the photographer for Donald Trump. It's crazy. But he really amazing, freaking just amazing guy, sweetest guy. He just has a crazy job.
He says, I have a set of rings in my garage that I like to do pull-ups on whenever I pass them. Do you guys do anything like this to grease the groove on exercises? Or are all you at a point where in your lifting careers, we don't need to do extra reps outside of your gym sessions? Okay, so what he's kind of saying is like, do you just kind of practice things outside the gym? I think that's what he's saying. And like, look, I mean, I think just doing some extra pull-ups, I know if I do a PT, I'll do one or two and just kind of, like you said, grease the groove. I think it's good to move. A couple squats here and there. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's great, Nick, and I think I still do anyway.
Yeah, well, I think we did this too in Hong Kong one time, John, and I do it here now. Like when I go on like a park run or whatever, they have like these fitness stations or whatever. And every once in a while, you'll run by a set of rings and I'll just jump up and do a muscle up, or you'll run by a pull-up bar. You just jump up and do some pull-ups, man. So absolutely. I don't think there's any harm or anything. If you see and you want to play around, man, it's part of play, right? Just jump up there, use your strength and have some fun, practice some stuff. It's not going to be detrimental to do push-ups and pull-ups when you see something.
I think that's very well said. The only caveat, I think it's important to specify which exercises you're going to grease the groove on, particularly bodyweight exercises that have low central nervous system fatigue. So like dips, strict pull-ups, strict push-ups, those are amazing exercises to grease the groove on, where it's really just a matter of increasing the volume and frequency, and you're going to get way better at those. But you can't apply that same grease the groove logic to like a 500-pound deadlift. Like, oh, every time I walk past a 500-pound, a bar loaded with 500 pounds, I'm going to deadlift it, or a squat. It's not going to work like that for the grease the groove thing. I think for body weight exercises, relative strength, it's great. For absolute strength, you can't apply that grease the groove way of training or method.
Okay, so here's what I was thinking, Tanner. When I'm able to hit 405 on bench press, I have this idea in my head that I can just kind of grease the groove, every, like, I don't know how many times I'll need to do it every month, but I want to be able to do 405 for the rest of my life, or at least try. So like in that regards, it's, I don't know. I guess it depends a lot of like, go ahead, John.
Well, I was going to say, if you want that to be kind of your, almost like or there's something you can always do. I mean, you probably have to train to get it up to like more like 425 so that, peak to it. And then kind of, that 405 is a little bit more accessible, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I would just say for the average person listening to this podcast, okay, that's going to be grease the groove is really good for bodyweight exercises. Okay. And upper body presses, you could apply that because a bench press or an overhead press is not going to, have as much central nervous system fatigue. It's not going to elicit as much systemic fatigue as a max deadlift or a heavy deadlift or a heavy squat. Okay. So that's what I would tell Nick. But the pull-ups, every time you pass by your rings, bro, bang out a few pull-ups, and I promise those will add up, and the accumulation effect will absolutely help.
Okay, now this is, I do like Nick's second question. He says, what two sports would you want your kids to be involved in to help instill a strong and positive mindset around fitness and competition? I imagine everyone would choose American football for one.
Incorrect. Oh. I wouldn't choose American football for one.
Taylor, then go ahead. What do you got?
Wrestling and weightlifting are the two sports that I would want to expose my child to.
Okay. How about Scott? You got two boys. How about yourself?
Golf and soccer.
Okay.
Why Why, Scott?
Golf, man, you need that skill later in life. It's a great skill to have your whole life. You could play golf your whole life, you know? And if you learn at a young age, you could do it the rest of your life. You never lose that skill of golf. And then soccer, I mean, my kids are very young. The running around, you know, that's really important. So those are the two I would choose.
Fair. I'm going to go kind of the middle. My two would be absolutely wrestling. I think it's the hardest sport I've ever done. I wrestled in middle school. I wish I would have done it, you know, from a younger age. Although I don't like how it's so people, I think a lot of guys, they stunt their growth wrestling because they're trying to cut weight all the time. So I don't like that aspect of it, but I think the skill of wrestling and the fact that it's 1v1, it teaches you a lot about yourself and it's incredible. And then I would probably say American football. All right. I think American football, just because we all kind of came from that background. I think it teaches you a lot on how to work together as a team, you know, and to go through hard times together. And I feel like it does instill a lot of really good qualities and it teaches you a lot of valuable life lessons. So wrestling and football, those would be the two ones that I think would be good for, particularly like a young kid to be exposed to.
Well, my boys live in Texas. Of course, they're playing football. I thought we were choosing sports that weren't football. I mean, if you live in Texas, you're playing football. Give me a break.
Yeah,
That's silly.
Well, yeah, I was just saying. I was answering Nick's question to instill a strong and positive mindset. Wrestling, that's going to instill a strong fucking mindset without a doubt. Also, I think football too. Dude, that's. I mean, you know, John. What about you? What do you think on that one?
I mean, for number one, I think you guys should know ice hockey, man. You know, what is the toughest sport out there? And actually, you know, I think probably number two would be track and field, especially as a young kid. Like training, running fast is so effective and so good. So I think those would be my two, ice hockey and track and field.
Wait, Taylor, I got a question. Your son Reese, does he play sports, and which sports does he play?
So his main sport of focus in school is field hockey. Actually, he plays field hockey here, and then his other one is skiing. So he's basically a skier and plays field hockey.
Okay, that's good.
But I think we're gonna get him into ice hockey as well. He's showing interest in ice hockey.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting question, Nick. That's what I'm kind of curious. Like, if I do end up having a son, like, what sports would I want him to play? I don't really know, because like football is a great sport, but man, I fucked myself up so much playing football. I almost don't know if I want my son to go through that.
It's not an option here. Fair enough for the most part. Like, there's not really an option for him to play American football here. And the next best thing would be rugby. Most kids from New Zealand clearly are playing rugby at some stage in their life, which it is a great game too, by the way.
Just another reason for you to move to America.
Apparently Austin is nice this time of year.
It's fucking hot, but it's nice all year, I think.
I mean, I think we all agree, like, team sports do such good things for kids in terms
100%.
of social growth.
Team.
Yeah.
I don't even think it matters so much the sport. I think it's the matter that you're playing in a team. I think soccer's great, field hockey, basketball, football, any kind of team sport, super important, especially just even for the socialization of a child. Okay, I think it's really important. So well said, John.
Okay.
And you got to be tough. You got to be tough in pretty much all the sports. But what I was thinking in Texas, you know, if I get my kids playing hockey, you know, it's probably less competitive here. Maybe they have a better shot to get noticed, something like that. I don't know.
Gee, that's all these crazy things you got to navigate, you know, as your kid gets older. It's crazy.
It is.
You know? Yeah.
All right. Not that I want to rush us, but we are. We have a bunch of questions to get through, so we'll start.
Damn, dude, we get a lot of fucking questions.
Yeah, we still have like 10 more. So,
we never got these questions when we were doing the group coaching calls. So this is amazing. I'm glad people are asking questions. Well, let's answer them quickly. Please. Sorry,
John asks, if you hit failure on a set before reaching the prescribed rep amount, is it better to lower the weight and hit the rep amount, or keep the prescribed weight and hit failure rep 9 or 10? Tanner, what do you think?
I'm going to do it quickly. If you're new into the program, I would rather you lower the weight and hit the prescribed amount of reps. Because if we've overprescribed the weight and you're failing reps, then the weight's going to be too heavy. Okay. It kind of depends on the lifter, but I'm just going to answer that. Probably best to lower the weight and hit your rep count. Own that weight before we actually add weight again, before we let you add weight again. All right. That's my answer for that one.
Okay. That's fair. Okay. Our next question, this is a two-parter. This comes from Rob Sowek. And he says, what is your biggest pet peeve when working with someone new to strength training versus someone who has some background or considers themselves advanced? So what's your biggest pet peeve when working with someone new strength versus someone who has background? Well, I mean, I think with advanced lifters, you've got a lot more, bad habits, right? At least with a new lifter, like, hey, we can start to see things when they start and change them. With an advanced lifter, you might have to tell someone 6, 7, 10 times, like, hey man, you're going too heavy and you're not doing it right. We gotta dial it back, which is pretty tough for a lot of people. So I would say, we see that a lot. And that's, I'd say, probably the biggest pet peeve is like that ego. We got to break it down.
Yeah. And I want to just caveat, Dr. Rob, I really like you. And I wasn't insinuating you as being one of those doctors that lacked common sense. I want to specify that because absolutely not. This guy's actually, Dr. Rob's, I love this guy. Super, super smart. He's with it. To answer your question, I love working with new lifters because exactly the reason John said, they don't have any bad habits and they're not going to be resistant to being coachable. Okay. If you come from a guy like the guy that immediately comes to mind is like Mark Deacon. That guy came to us really strong already. Okay. He could be resistant to us coaching him because he's already pulling over 400 pounds, squatting over 400 pounds. So it would be a lot easier for him to not be coachable for us. So that is a pet peeve of mine. New lifters, the only thing you just have to be patient with new lifters as well. That's just understand to be patient. All right. Did he have a second part to that question, John?
Dude, Mark, hey, quickly though, Mark, that's a great example, Tanner, because man, he was strong, and he could have just like not taken the coaching but man, he really took the coaching and now
same way with Jonathan Jahan. Jonathan Jahan's be another prime example. Yep.
Great examples.
I won't say who, but there are clients that, haven't taken our coaching as well, and they still do the same mistakes after a while. Anyways, Rob's second question is kind of a fun one. If calories didn't matter, what's the food you would indulge in all the time? I mean,
that can be rapid fire.
That could like
cheesecake for me.
Cinnamon buns.
Yep.
Every morning. Oh, baby.
Taylor, focaccia. Is it focaccia?
Yeah, focaccia, man. That's the truth right there.
Scott, how about you, Scott?
Candy.
Yeah.
Like gummy worms? Like gummy worms or gummy bears, Scott?
You want to see? So I went to Wimberley, Tanner. I went to Wimberley yesterday. And
Wimberley's
it was like, beautiful. There was this like candy shop. And so like I went in there and actually bought some candy. I have not eaten it yet, but it's like this. I could show you.
One of my favorite memories of Scott when we were in college. We're like 19 years old, 20 years old. Not kids, but Scott's eating candy like a kid every day.
I had those two dudes, like fried chicken and gummy bears. Still got 4% body fat and jacked. It's like, this is bullshit.
Yeah, I know.
Scott knows candy going to the NFL. Our next question comes from Eddie Rago, and he says, I recently had blood work done and got some helpful feedback from Scott and Taylor. I'd be interested to hear what you generally look for in blood work for someone who strength trains. What markers do you consider good signs, and what results would raise concerns or make you want to dig deeper? Where's Dr. Rob when you need him?
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I mean, I have a couple that are just, I always like looking at your hormone profiles. Like, I mean, again, I'm not a doctor and I don't get regular blood work done because I'm not taking any kind of hormones or testosterone. So, but I've done enough like research that you want to look at your total testosterone, your free testosterone, your sex hormone binding globulin. I think another one is to estradiol, FSH, LSH. Those are basically all your hormone ones that are important to look at. Then another one, I think I'm saying it's like H1AC. That basically measures, I think, the amount of inflammation in your body. Those ones, those are the ones that immediately come to mind. Uh, I don't think cholesterol is a great marker to look at. It really just depends on the individual. But Eddie Rogo, those would be the ones that I would look at. But dude, I'm not a doctor, so I want to like put that out there. I'm not like 100% educated on tell you what blood markers to look at. A doctor would actually be a way better person to talk to about that.
yeah.
Well, and also just if you're lifting heavy too, just be aware that your livers, your ALT, AST is going to come back high sometimes. Your kidney function, BUN,
Creatinine,
Your
creatinine. My
you know,
creatinine's always high,
yeah,
always.
yeah,
Same as my cholesterol. Okay,
yeah.
but that's
So
why
just be
I don't
aware.
I don't worry about that too much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the second question that Eddie Rogo said, Eddie, send me your address on True Coach. Taylor, send me your fucking address too, bro. Okay. Eddie, send me your address and
You
I'll
guys
get you one
still
of those
here?
shirts. Okay. Send it to me on True Coach. When you see this message, send the address. Okay.
Oh, that was a great question, Eddie.
Yeah.
Got a free T-shirt.
All right. All right. Tom, we got a question from Tom Moore. Oh, I think John left. Did John leave or is it just me, guys? Are you still with me?
No, I think John just left.
There he is.
Well,
Okay. I can read that question just because I think we're still rolling if it helps. So Tom Moore, he's asking, I'm struggling a little bit with my deadlift form. Scott says my arms are hanging too much and I need to squeeze my arms like I'm squeezing an orange. I know the exact coaching cue you're talking about. My question to you guys, would it benefit for me to practice my form with a tennis ball squeezed under my arms?
Yeah.
Tom, I think you could do it, but I don't necessarily know how much it's actually going to translate or really matter. In my opinion, what Scott is talking about, it's like there's always that coaching cue where basically imagine like you're squeezing an orange underneath your armpit, and all that's really doing is basically setting your lats. You're engaging your lats, and you're keeping your chest up and your back flat. And it's going to put you in the best starting position. Honestly, I think if you do enough deadlifts, you just get better at that. You will naturally start to do that, and you're not going to have to really worry about deadlifting with a tennis ball underneath your armpits. Okay. Basically, that's just a coaching cue to basically set your shoulders back and engage your lats so you're pulling the deadlift with a proper start position.
Dude, honestly, I don't even like that cue. I don't even like that cue. I was just kind of spitting. Sometimes I'll just lay out all the cues, for lat engagement to make, because sometimes one of them clicks for the right person, but yeah, you need that lat engagement, doing more deadlifts, keeping the bar as close to you as you can. And Tom, I'll keep a close eye on you, bro. I'll keep giving you feedback. Okay.
All right. All right. I'm going to go ahead. John's having, think, some technical difficulties. So I'm going to go.
Can you hear me?
Oh,
Or
okay.
No?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
I think we're on Matham's question.
Yeah. This might be the question was, I had a migraine the other day and it was a planned training day, but it was a bit bad. Guilt check. Was it better to take some paracetamol or Tylenol or whatever, kill the pain and train through it? Or was it wise for him to rest it out? Taylor, why don't you go? Because I know you do sometimes get migraines.
Dude, well, a migraine, I mean, there's a spectrum of migraine symptoms, like, and some aren't as bad as others. When I get a migraine, dude, the option for me to take paracetamol and grind through it is not there. All right. When I get a migraine, sometimes I can't speak the way I want to speak, right? Can't put words to mouth. I can't really see sometimes. I vomit, dude. It's probably the worst pain that I experience in life, bro. So kind of living in fear of a migraine. So for me, that's essentially not an option. But in your case, I would say that it's probably better just to take some paracetamol, rest and recover, man. Because if you're training in a pretty compromised state, which is what I would say, I think you're going to be more detrimental than beneficial, man. So, there's a point where getting it in isn't worth getting it in. Okay. And if you're not going to train with intent and intensity, then I'd much prefer you to get yourself right and then hit it later. Because the fact that you're doing it on like a specific day, whatever, just get it done when you can get it done. If you got to push it back a day or two, it's going to be all right. But I'd rather you recover, get a really good advantageous session in than fucking just slog through something with a migraine.
Yeah. I've good answer. That's it. You don't even add anything to that. John, you still with us?
I'm here. Yeah.
Okay. So this was, Maytham's second question.
Yeah.
I could answer this because we've answered this many times. Maytham, if you're training in a busy gym and we program supersets for you and you're unable to perform the supersets, that's totally fine. Just complete all sets and reps of one exercise and then move on to the next exercise. You do not have to perform a superset. Okay. We just program supersets because it makes your workout a little bit more efficient. But if you're unable to do them, don't worry about it.
And then made them ask the question, how much rest time should we have if we do the movements individually?
Anywhere between 1 to 3 minutes, generally speaking.
Okay. Great. Next question from Casey Pedroza. What is pre-workout and how is it different from an energy drink?
I don't think it's that different from an energy drink. You might have a few
It's pretty
electrolyte
similar.
compounds or something in there, but I think it's all just caffeine and stimulant, right? For the most part.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like a pre-workout might have a couple of the beta alanine and that stuff that kind of makes you tingle. I think that might be the one big but it depends on the pre-workout, depends on the energy drink as well.
Yeah, usually like the vasodilators, and then you can't really call it a pre-workout if there's not stimulants in it. So that's the most important part about both an energy drink and a pre-workout, the stimulants.
All right. Any other questions, John?
Last question. Ryan McGinn, and I'll just type it in there. What are your favorite cuts of steak to have on a regular basis? The 112 grams of fat in my dinner last night tells me probably not a ribeye. Good call, Ryan. Favorite, I would say a tenderloin. It's nice and but yeah, I might go broke trying to eat those all the time. I find a rump steak done well can be all right. Not too fatty. Taylor, Scott, Tanner.
I go either like a flank steak or a blade steak, just because they're not super fatty like a ribeye, and it's just a more affordable cut of meat. And I mean, if you cook it right, man, any steak is going to be good, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't mind a sirloin,
Yeah.
I'll eat sirloin all day.
Yep. I got one because tenderloin is my favorite, but dude, they're expensive. Okay. Top sirloin is a really good one. It's kind of like a rump steak. It's like in the same thing where it's a decent enough steak where you're not going to like break your jaw trying to chew it, but it's lower in fat. It has all, the good micronutrients that's found in red meat, and it's relatively affordable. So for dinner most nights, me and my wife were eating top sirloin steaks. That's it. So top sirloin. And yeah, like kind of what Scott's saying.
You get those thin slice. Where are you getting it from? HEB?
I go to Costco.
Yeah. Okay.
Costco's got, just the most value. I think best bang for your buck, but I live on a lot of top sirloin. But when I was in Dubai, I would eat rump steaks a lot. So like John's, he's on point with that one. All right.
And the other thing I'll say, like Ryan, about a ribeye and, it also depends on the cut. You get one of those nice Wagyu ones, or like the fat's way higher on pretty much any cut, where you get some leaner cuts, and it's a lot lower. So there's a big difference in the actual type of steak you're getting too. So quite important. Well, listen, fellas, our longest podcast yet, but it was awesome. So thanks everyone for submitting questions. We'll be back next week, and just go fucking train hard.
That's it. Absolutely. All right. Good podcast, guys. Really good podcast.
Oh yeah.
Thanks, boys.
Appreciate you.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good week, fellas.
You guys,
See
man.
ya.
Adios.